Avik from Easy Software, and it's my pleasure to welcome you on today morning run of our GDPR webinar. It's the second GDPR webinar. In the first one, I was informing you about what we plan to do, and today I will show you actually what we've done and what you can implement in your Easy Redmine in order to increase protection of your customers' data or the personal data you may collect. During the session, please don't hesitate to post questions or raise your hands through the system. I will be answering all your questions at the end of the session. So okay, time is money. Let's get started. Let me share my screen. Hopefully my screen is visible. Seems yes. So let's get started. Before we see the features directly in Easy Redmine, just couple of words, a little bit of introduction. This is what we are going to do today. I will tell you how we comply with GDPR, and the main topic is how you can implement increased data protection in Easy Redmine. First of all, just a summary a little bit. Data controller is anyone, probably you, us, everyone who collects some personal data. Data processor, here is important to say the data processor is someone who is processing your data, your customer data in some application, while it needs to be said that legally we are data processor for your for you. If you are in our cloud, we are not really data processor if you have Easy Redmine on your premises. But for both our cloud clients and clients having Easy Redmine on their own server, we are producer of Easy Redmine. That's the application in which you may or which you can or you don't collect some personal data. What is important and what we'll be addressing this presentation is there are couple, let's say, terms which occur in GDPR and has direct impact on information system. First is right to be forgotten. So any of your client or contact which is in your databases may require that you delete the old data you collect about this person. There is a couple of ways how to do it. The GDPR comes with anonymization and pseudonymization. I will be addressing that. Also, anyone can ask you to provide provide a data you collect about some individual. About the data protection officer, I'm just having this. If you have any legal inquiries or you need to discuss something with us further about our cooperation and us as data processor, I'm your contact. I'm the data protection officer at Easy Software. And last, I want to address is personal data. There's a lot of noise about these, and basically, if you want to be covered, personal data is anything what can help to identify some individual. And basically, if you have one single piece of information like email only, it's not personal data, but once you have a name and email, it's personal data already. However, this might sound a little bit too far. That's basically how we understand the GDPR requirements. At Easy Software, we had to implement GDPR in a couple ways. First, we collect some data, so we were improving processing, documentation, internal security as well. We took it seriously here. As a data processor for you, our cloud clients, now we have already data processing agreement. So if you need to sign data processing agreement with us, we are ready to do that. There is also along coming some updates on the web page with terms and conditions about our what's the name, about our process, how we treat your data and so on. And what is the major topic today is about Easy Redmine as an application which can be used to collect and hold the data. One more slide before we go to the system is if you're having some data in Easy Redmine which you consider as a personal, you should do following basically before you start implementing one of the strategies I will be showing you. You shall say yourself what data you collect and document that. What is really recommended is to pay attention to what data you have in contacts. A lot of features which I will be showing you is related to contacts, as contacts were chosen as entity in which we increase some functionality, which is covering the features like right to be forgotten, etc. And don't forget about users. Your employees are also individuals, and very frequently on different custom fields, you have some additional data about the people, for what's their favorite color, what is their name date, etc., etc. That all are personal data, and you shall consider that. Basically one of the basic questions GDPR is coming with is, GDPR is not saying that you shall not collect the data. It's not about that. It's actually not about that you shall change your business, but it's about to think whether whether everybody who has access to data really needs that. That's an essential question in GDPR, and it's basically reality. Maybe if you're an IT company, software developer, your account managers may need to access a lot of data in order to perform their daily work, calling with clients, proposing new products and services. Maybe developers, they don't have this need. So as this example, you may think about, okay, do I really need to give access to contacts in Easy Redmine to all of my users, or I will just simply change the configuration a little bit. And that's basically the measures which are expected that you take into consideration and take into the practice. And of course, and there is a whole security thing. GDPR is asking all organizations to bring certain measures in technological and process and administrative way to increase or to have decent level of data protection. And we will start with that. We see that as a quite gap in Redmine, and honestly, it was a bit of gap in Easy Redmine as well. And so while GDPR was coming, we said ourselves, okay, let's do this properly now. So we increased a lot of things about secure access to Easy Redmine. Here are the things which we implemented. I will start with the last one, two-factor verification. Let me go to a system. I have here user. It's administrator. I'm using now Chrome from administrator, which is set to use two-factor authentication through TOTP technology. So I'm adding my password here, and you can see that the system is asking me to verify the code. Now, there's a bunch of applications which supports TOTP technology. I am using now Google Authenticator. I also have the app from Microsoft. Both are working well. I can see I received some code. I will just simply add the code here. There is a time limit for that, and I authenticate, and the system will log me in. This is a really important enhancement. I will directly continue in what's new in these settings. As you see, I came to the administration settings. There is this tab authentication. It was here for a long time, but a couple new things appeared here. Before that, we were able to set the minimal password length, but a couple new things came. Unique password counter. That means that you can't repeat your password, for example, in 3 times. So you have to, if you have the policy that the Easy8 enforces you to change the password, it controls that it needs to be unique for certain such actions. Another thing which was implemented here is section maximum lifetime and section inactivity timeout. This is something I highly recommend. There were many studies about that one of the biggest threats to data security are actually the desktop stations, unattended desktop station left without log off from the computer, from the system, and that's to a certain extent addressed by that. So I can choose here that after 15 minutes of inactivity, the user is logged out and they have to log in again. I skipped this one. Here are the new attributes of how the password may look like. Typically, requesting requesting a big letter and number and small letter is something very common. So combination with the length and these parameters, you can enforce a strong password. Another thing which was introduced recently, I would like to mention is that in larger organizations there may be some single sign-on solution. We implemented that. It's based on some Kerberos technology. Another thing which we've implemented recently, if you are adding someone on the project, and if you are adding or if you are adding new user, the system requires you to re-enter your password. That's again addressing the most common threat that you leave your computer unattended, somebody came and add himself as with high privilege on some project they should not access to, and this should be avoided by that. So once again, you can enforce the password, password strength. What we have here two-factor authentication. You can see you can run the strategy where it is required for everyone or it is optional. And you can choose various or two technologies. One is this TOTP. That's what I was using. It's pretty common. It's easy to support. You don't need anything additional. You can just start doing that right now, and really having the second device for password confirmation is the strong one. If you have your own SMS gateway, you can simply use the standard SMS gateway communication methods here, and you can receive your authentication number through SMS. Let me show you how this is done. Okay, I will go to my account. You can see that this is the look, and I'm logged in. You can see that my TOTP is active now. I will disable it. It asking me, the disablement is asking me for the password again. Right. Now, if I want to use that, I have the strategy that it's optional, then it's user who can activate it here. I do activate TOTP. It shows me the barcode. On my app, I'm just adding new account. I am saying scan barcode. I'm now pointing this barcode. It worked immediately, so I can go continue and add the code I received through the application. That's it. As you can see, it's simple, and if we go back to the list of the things which we changed, this shall give you much higher control and security to access the system. So once again, passwords, usage of SSO, entering the password, deletions added, and two-factor verification. Right, that was about the very basic. I think everyone could do that. Now, if we talk about limitation of personal data visibility, you can choose couple strategies, and we've prepared couple of new features related to that one. First, what is the best, by my opinion, is that along with the strategy, there has to be also some process, some adequate usage of the system. So if you are collecting a data which can be considered as a personal data, collect them ideally in contacts, because for contacts we prepared special features. Then it means that sort of the other entities are free to access, and you need to be busy with contacts only. So what is new about contacts? We increase some global privileges. It's also coming to support our CRM functionality and some requirements about to limit the access to data. Let me show you. If I'm going to roles and permissions, I will open the C-level role. It has very high privilege. And what you can see here, there is a couple new things which are related to new functionality. We are introducing, export templates, and but they're working with that. But the focus here is about contact visibility. This is contact visibility, which is not too much to do with GDPR. It's basically about the usage of system that, for example, account managers can see just their own contacts, or contacts meaning accounts or clients they are assigned to. But it's one of the things which we shall keep in the mind, because it can be combined with the other strategies. Well, the total strategy for contacts can be also here that some users or some roles won't have access to contacts at all. But that can be a little bit uncomfortable, because contacts gives me a good chance, for example, to have all information about my business, projects, tasks, support tickets about a client at one place, and understanding the customer pretty holistically. So maybe I don't want that. I just want to prevent some data to be seen, right? So for that, I would suggest these two strategies. Access to just only to certain contact types. As we know, GDPR is about personal data of individuals, not organizations, right? So for example, our organization, we do B2B, right? I mean, our customers are organizations. So, but we have the personal data because it's contact details of the people at the company, still personal data. So using old-fashioned features in Easy8, if I go to contacts, right, is allowing me to set up different contact types, right? And typically these contact types are used that it's for organization. If you like, the organization can be a account or client or supplier, as you need to segment the contacts. And personal are for the people, right? And then the personal contacts are related to the account, so I can simply see my customer, the people at my customer, and so on and so forth. And now I am logged in as administrator. I don't have any limitation of this visibility. But if I log in, but I set up basically here, is it here? No, this is something else. I will be back to that later. But I can set up on user type, and I think I was doing that. Is there some team leader, portfolio, project team member, I guess. And as you can see, here is a new thing. So user type can be set to have visibility to only certain type of contact. And here's my typical example. I can see, this user type will see only, this organizations like contact types, not the personal one, right? So if I show you that I have a user which is this user type, also maybe pay attention to this one, that now user type can also hold the default role, which is a default template for my page. This is recent improvement which is helping you to set everything up, that if new user is coming, you just give them the predefined user type and everything is there: home pages, menus, default privileges, and also these things, right? So this is actually designed the way that once you configure this and the users flow, people are joining company, leaving company, you have the easy job of that. Now I will log in as someone with this user type. I will use different browser. I believe that the password is, or this is a def1. And you see that this user, they still have access to contacts, right? But you can see that the number is lower, that something is different. So they see just company here. They can see account contacts, but in personal, they don't see any, okay? So this is a strategy which can be implemented pretty quickly, that if you use contact types already, and you decided that you can limit some visibility to certain type of users, you can simply do that by the settings on the user type. But there are other things you can do. So this was a general access to certain contact types. So some contacts are simply invisible, right? But there's another thing which we've implemented in contacts, but also in other fields. And this is, but in contacts there's something extra. And this is that I may want to leave the access or leave the information about some contact to all the users, but I will prevent or I will increase the security so that I will not be displaying all the data. So I may have the contact visible with all the tasks related, with the projects related, with the CRM related and invoices related. So I'm having everything together, but I will not be displaying all the data. How that works? First, specifically for contacts, there are some native fields of contacts. So here I can limit visibility of the native fields. Okay, this is native fields. And as simply, if there is nothing, it's unlimited, right? But for example, I made the limitation for group of users on sales team for these three fields, right? And as you can see, I can do it for users, user types, or group of users. The rest of the contacts is based, it's all custom fields, which is actually working pretty well now. And I will show you how that works. If I am here on some custom field, let me email, there is a new attribute to any custom field on any entity. I will be back to that later. A special visibility where I can see that email can be seen only by the sales team, right? So now if we go back to our example, now I am logged in as somebody from development team, right? Is it right here? Account. And I will open here a client, let's say Panasonic. And you can see, I see some information here, right? But if I logged out and signed as somebody from sales team, which are granted with more information, I think the password is like this. And I will go the same way. I will go to contacts, see all of those. First of all, you see that they see more contact because they see also the personal. But if we go to the particular account and we will go to the Panasonic one, I can see that this user see way more data. This is actually pretty cool because it gives you 100% of control what roles, like user type, managed through user type, group of users, or particular individual users can see for data. So you can actually also combine all of that, right? So I may see that some users, they don't access contacts at all. I can see that some type of users needs to have access to some contacts, but they don't need to have contacts to the personal contacts, which are, you know, based on contact type. There's the strategy number 2. Or I like people to see that there is a contact, see everything around that, but still I'm able to prevent some data which they don't need that much, which they don't need to perform their work. That's actually what GDPR is saying, and have the control on top of that. That's actually very good. What is important is that I'm going back to my admin here, that this is the special visibility is on every entity. So every custom field can be like that. Typical usage here is on users, right? In our organization, we also collect quite some information about our colleagues. We are really busy about talents of people, right? We like to know what's their birthday, right? So we can do something nice for them. Their name days, their I don't know how it's called, this different, if you are, you know, doesn't matter if you are bull or this one, I mean the Chinese calendar stuff, etc. So we are collecting a lot of things about the people in order to manage organization, right? HR use that as a main source of individual information. We have there even some last QBR notes. But simply we can say that this needs to be seen by top management and HR people. The others needs to have access to basically contact details and their position in the organization. So with users, highly recommended to use this approach. On task level can be similar. We can you can run ticket systems, right? And it happens that you need to mark somewhere, okay, in terms of emergency, you know, call this one, or this is escalation or something, right? There can be need for that. Just make a text field, right, where you store this data. And this data are available only for the people who are really work with that, because otherwise it will stay in the updates of the task forever, right? So this way you can avoid it. Pretty cool. So everywhere when it happens, some data you need to limit in the visibility, you can do it like you can do it here. Now there are couple more features going around with contacts. And in my demo, I will just stop sharing for a little while. Sorry for not being prepared that well. I will open our internal system because one feature is not visible in demo, just a little bit packages issue, nothing serious. Contacts, no custom fields, administration, custom fields, contacts, and at the same time I will prepare another window with some particular contact. Okay, let me start sharing again. Earlier, I mentioned that for the entity context, we prepare some special features which are really related to GDPR, and one of that is this anonymize, right? What does it mean? You have some contact, right, in the system, and the person may require that the personal data shall be forgotten. Also, GDPR is talking that you shall keep certain data only for specific period, and you shall set it up in your own processes. Now, it can be really a problem to delete a customer with all the business history, right? Or to delete a customer and now suddenly having unlinked tickets, so it can destroy my business data, which helping me to understand my support operations, my project profitability, whatever, right? I mean, the contact is center point for some customer holistic view. Now, what GDPR is saying, you don't need to destroy your business intelligence data. You just need to make sure that the person cannot be identified anymore, right? So I can see that I can keep the information that there is some John, or there were some John, he used these services, he opened many tickets, we run a project, etc. And I can use segmentation of this customer. I can use pretty information. For example, if I sell shoes, I can keep storing data like what is his favorite color or his shoe size, right? So I have the data, for example, for my product management, service management, etc. But it's not John something with email address, etc. anymore. It's just some John, but still working for my business data. That's how you can use this anonymize. If you press anonymize, it will delete all the data from the contact which you say which needs to be deleted in order to anonymize the contact. So that's the new button here under contacts, more anonymize. And how that works is if I open a custom field on contact, you can see we have plenty. I have this new checkbox right here, clear when anonymized. Okay, so you can see there is always this special visibility again, but clear when anonymized. That will make the trick for you if you want to meet the requirements, but you don't want to destroy your business data and the basically continuity of your data. So I can delete all the data which might lead to person identification and leave my business information. Another feature which is that, and this one is here on this deployment, is that there is a right to be informed. So an individual may come to you and saying, show me what data you are collecting about me. And so then when you are on some contact details, oh, sorry, once more. And there is a requirement for, there is a requirement that he might require to get these data and and transform it to another provider. That means, and also the requirement saying that this data shall be in some machine readable format. So I have here data of some client, right? And new, I have here exports, and one of these new export is XML. If I press it, I can open it, and you can see all the data are here. So this way you can fulfill the requirement that somebody say, what is the data you collect about me? If you have the personal data, all our contacts, you just simply press the button and you have you have what is required by the law. Right. What more we have on the agenda today? I think we are getting closer to the end. We went through the rights to be forgotten. So you can delete the contact, old school, you can anonymize the contact. Possible to keep all the linkage, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we discussed about that. Right to be informed, we just addressed that. I mentioned this, that this limited visibility on any custom field of any entity. I say one more, users are important here. It's also personal data. And that's basically it, right? I would, maybe as a final before we end, I will give you maybe one more tip. As we were implementing GDPR in our organization, we were implementing this right to be forgotten. And well, basically project management software is ideal solution for that. Let's say our audit, yes, we did audit. Our audit showed that there are a couple databases, internal databases, where some data may occur. And so once somebody is requiring, send us the request to be forgotten, we have a template of project, right? Where I can just start, and it automatically creates tasks to people who are in charge of these internal databases. And so they may need to delete this data from these different databases. And so I get good confirmation about that. I perform that on all databases I have in my evidence of data processing. And I can inform the person, and I have the evidence. That's also important, that I have really the evidence what happened and how quickly, and that I was responsive enough. So this was my last tip at the end of the presentation. What I want to say is GDPR is not the most popular thing in our nowadays business, and but it's the reality. We decided to take it seriously in our organization, so we implemented many things internally, and as you see, we really thought for a while about GDPR, and we developed features which can help our clients to be professionals in this in this subject matter. And before we go to questions, let me wish you a good luck and patience and everything needed for successful implementation of GDPR in your organization. I'm going to stop sharing now, and let's see whether we have some questions. Do we? Here we go.